And like all do-it-all designs, that's something of a compromise. But to be honest, that's fine for trail bike use.
Hey up, I'm Guy Kestevan the Tester Man, and today I'm stood in the woods for a motivational speech, because the product I'm testing and telling you about today is SRAM's new Motive Ultimate All-Round Trail Brake.
So, what do you need to know about SRAM's motivation for producing this new brake? Well, for a start, it's part of their overall switching to mineral oil from dot fluid policy that we saw with the introduction of the high power Maven and the more affordable DB brakes. So, still not the nicest substance in the world, but it's less toxic and less paint damaging than dot fluid, so that's a good thing. It's a 4-pot brake, so it's got 4 cylinders in each caliper, and at 260 grams it's 20 grams heavier than level ultimate 4-pot for brake and caliper, but 20 grams lighter than the old G2, about 50 grams lighter than the code. And power, while it isn't quite level with the code, it's a lot closer to that than the level, which is splendid news, because in certain situations that was barely a brake, especially in the 2-pot setup. And like all do-it-all designs, that's something of a compromise. Cheers. But to be honest, that's fine for trail bike use. You know, it's powerful enough. I mean, obviously, like Maven, you size up with the rotors. So I started on 180. Wasn't quite punchy enough, to be honest. So I went up to 200, and that's really improved the bite. And also, I switched up from the stock resin pads, which were frankly a bit lacking, and first few runs I was definitely like, oh, this is more Motive than Motive. And I've switched to sintered, which give a lot more bite, more aggressive feel, and that's really made it feel like a brake worth having, a really good match for me top fuel and, you know, other short travel bikes. And I've deliberately dragged it to test the heat, and it's fine with that, which is obviously something that mineral oil brakes sometimes suffer with. But zero complaints about the consistency on it, and seems to be a lot easier to bleed than the bigger Maven. There's no need for like fancy pad advance techniques, are alright. Just use that bleeding edge end of caliper port and it all seems to sort itself out nicely. And while the Ultimate comes with the 2-piece alloy floating rotors to minimise weight, I've actually started running the thicker HS2s to get that extra 17% power bump that you get from the stiffer, broader rotor. So again, you know, I've amped it up to get a sort of positive trail feel compared to what you might experience straight away. On the other bit of admin, it takes a standard code brake, so you've got the 2 options from SRAM, or you've got plenty of aftermarket options already out there. And like I say, it's a really consistent, predictable brake. I've been riding it for that line's washed away a few months now, and never put a finger wrong. It's definitely a more linear feel than other brakes from SRAM. Maven's quite progressive, so you do need to go kind of deeper into the stroke to get that more bite, but again, it's kind of designed to work with less grippy tyres in marginally less aggressive situations, so that's fine. And that's because it uses a different type of leverage cam to the other SRAM brakes. And this Ultimate, you get carbon lever blade and you get tie bolts to keep the weight down too. And if you're lucky enough to be pampered like I am, it comes in a nice presentation box with green syringes and your green mineral oil bottle and a whole range of rotors to play with, as well as all the mounting kits you could want to fit them.
So overall, as a trail brake and an all-rounder that replaces 3 brakes and makes the SRAM brake lineup a lot simpler, there's a lot going for this new Motive. However, if you are looking for a genuinely lightweight XC brake, you know, the guys who are lining up, SRAM-sponsored athletes in Brazil this weekend, 260 grams is heavy. So, you know, I mean, there are plenty of options now, sub 200 grams, with similar stopping power, maybe not quite as much, but certainly not massively lacking. I'm, you know, talking Hope, Formula, even Shimano's a lot lighter than this before they bring out the new XTR. So, and obviously, you know, then you've got Exotica like Trick Stuff, or even Lewis. They're all bringing in brakes that weigh considerably less than this Motive, you know, even with the tie bolts and the carbon lever. And this doesn't get, it gets reach adjust, but it doesn't get bite point adjust, so that's not a bit of excess weight either. But maybe having actual brake performance is more important than just the gram count. But then, if you want a mid-weight brake with a lot of power, then Hope Tech 4 E4, Shimano XT, XTR 4-pot, Hayes Dominion T4, Cura 4 from Formula, and Magura MT7 all have more power and are within 10 grams of the Motive Ultimate in weight. And because I'd be happy using those brakes with a 180mm rotor rather than a 200mm rotor, the overall package weight is actually going to be significantly lower than this Motive Ultimate. So, although I think it's a fine brake, and if you've got one on a bike, you know, and it's, you know, you can tune it to how you want it, get those sintered pads in there, maybe get a bigger rotor on, you know, it's not a brake you need to swap out or anything like that, and it seems reliable. Having mineral oil is a bonus in terms of eco and, you know, dermatologically delightful wins. I think if you're looking around for a brake to fit to a new build, or looking at upgrading your current system, then I think there are a lot more compelling options in both the properly lightweight market and in that midweight high power brake segment as well. Oh, and plus, if you want this Viscount Biscuit Green anodized finish, that's only available on the Motive Ultimate complete sort of box set. I don't think that's available as a regular option, so that's a first world problem that only a few of us are going to have. And speaking of first world problems, if more of you guys watching could subscribe, that would be marvellous, because that makes a massive difference to how popular YouTube thinks I am. And I promise I won't bombard you with spam and emails about it all. Click for notifications, and if you can spare a few quid and want to support an old man yattering on about bicycle components while he's riding around, then please check in via my Patreon page and subscribe on there for a few quid a month. That'll be very well received. But for now, I've been Guy Kestevan on Guy Kes TV, doing some motivational speaking about SRAM's new all-round mountain bike anchor. And yes, I will be doing a review of this new Axis Reverb as well, but that'll be a separate video to get me numbers up.